Hi everyone, Allysia here. This is my vlog channel and I like to talk about all kinds of random topics on this channel. I keep it as my own name because I don't want to be limited to a topic. I have like an entire piano TV channel that's dedicated to just piano, so I like talking about pretty much everything else over here. And one thing that I always do around this time of year, and every quarter, so every turn of the season, is a quarterly review. And if you've been watching some of my prior videos, you'll know that this is something I've been talking about a little bit because it's all kinds of like planning topics and stuff tend to come up now. So I just wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the quarterly review, why I do it, how long I've been doing it, what the point of it is, and all that stuff. So the idea behind a quarterly review is that you can make significant gains in 90 days, and it's great to plan to make great progress on some of your goals in a 90-day chunk. Now, the reason we work better in 90-day chunks is because it's pretty difficult to plan in any kind of depth beyond 3 months. It's actually really hard to even plan in depth for a 3-month chunk. It takes a long time to kind of have a realistic expectation of what you're able to accomplish, and but also like push yourself to get yourself outside of your comfort zone. But any longer than 3 months, you have to do so much editing and recalibrating of your goals anyways that what I like to do is start by top level daydreaming. So this is where I start fantasizing about the Allysia of the future, the Allysia 5 to 10 years from now. And then what I do is I think, okay, well, if I want to be that Allysia of 5 to 10 years from now, what do I need to do today or in the next 3 months to kind of move the needle forward there? I like looking from a 5-year to 10-year vantage point because some of the things that seem important right now, the things that I'm like, man, I really need to do this quarter, in the long-term scheme of things wouldn't actually end up being that important and aren't that worthy of so much of my focus. Whenever I'm thinking about this too, I try to think more along the lines of the kind of person I want to be in 5 to 10 years. What are the qualities and characteristics that I've developed to become better at? Like, am I a kinder person? Am I a better dressed person? Am I more even-tempered? You know, things I like to think about, like who I am, not just what I'm doing, because the who I am is more important. The thing is if you have a dream, so maybe your dream 10 years from now is to be performing on like world-class stages as a piano player. The difficulty with having, that's a great goal, by the way. I'm not saying that's a bad goal, but the difficulty of having that as a long-range goal and then existing in your day-to-day life is that you're not performing on big stages right now. And even if you're working towards it, it still can be disheartening to be plunking out your easy piano pieces while having this like long-range dream of, you know, being a world-class performer. There can be such a gap between where you are now versus where you want to be that I actually find that can be kind of depressing as opposed to motivating. So I like to think of it in terms of who I am as a person first, because those are things that I can do literally today. If I imagine myself in the future as a kinder person, I can be a kinder person today. That's not something that I have to wait to accomplish. I can just do it and start being conscious of it and start working on it. That's, I find, really inspiring. Another thing too is if your ideal version of yourself 5 to 10 years from now has a better life balance, like maybe right now I feel like I'm working too much and I don't have enough time for my family. And when I have a view of myself 10 years from now, I'm spending lots of time with my family, we're doing lots of fun things, and I'm not doing as much work. That's actually something that you can change now too. Maybe not in like as meaningful way as you envision in the future, but it's a perfectly reasonable thing to set a quarterly goal, like a 90-day goal, to dedicate more time to family if you feel like you're not dedicating enough time to family. Just as an example, things along the lines of like your character, who you are as a person, and how you balance the aspects of your life are things that matter in the short term. There are things that you can influence in the short term, and they're going to contribute to your overall life satisfaction. If you have these dreams of 10 years from now being a world famous concert piano player, that's not going to necessarily contribute to your immediate happiness. The things that are going to make you happy aren't necessarily like your far off distant goals. The things that are going to make you happy are the things you're doing now, like the way you're living your life now. Is your life balanced? Are you enjoying your hobbies? Do you feel like you have enough time to exercise? Are you eating well? Do you have meaningful relationships? Those are the things that are the most important to get a foundational grasp on. And this is where I got quarterly planning wrong for so many years, because I thought it was just about the doing of things. It was just about the achievements. Like I want to like start teaching piano lessons in Toronto. Like that was a 90-day goal I set. I want to release a piano convention. That was a 90-day goal I set more recently. I like all the goals and plans and stuff that I was setting. I guess it doesn't really count for that more recent one, but like in the past, it would be so achievement focused, and then I wouldn't feel satisfied. I wouldn't feel happy, and I didn't really understand why, because I was like, I'm doing this effective planning. I'm making progress towards my goals. If I had set a goal to record an album, we did that once. Me and my band recorded an album. And that was a very long-term goal that came to fruition in 2012. A long time ago now. But at the time, I thought that was like some kind of pinnacle that we could achieve, and that I would be happy once we achieved it. It was kind of like I was placing my future happiness on this event that was down the road. So while we were playing shows and slowly raising money in order to afford this album, essentially, I always had it in my head, like, yes, I can't wait until we get to record. That'll be really awesome. And it's one thing to be excited about something, but it's another thing entirely to like put your future happiness stock in the thing that's going to happen later, because why can't I be satisfied with what's happening right now? And then what happens, and the reality of our situation was, we were recording an album, but our band was in such a state of like turmoil, and there was a lot going on at the time in like our emotional lives and things like that, that the experience that I had counted on to make me happy didn't actually make me happy. And when you've been putting stock into an idea that would make you happy for so long and it doesn't, that can be a really disheartening thing to realize. So shortly after we recorded the album, our band actually broke up, and so to give you a little bit of context, we're since jamming together again and playing together again. But all of this is to say that I kind of learned the hard way that happiness isn't in the achieving. It isn't in the things that you really want to do. It isn't even in your dreams. Your happiness is in your day-to-day. It's in what you're doing right now. It's in how you're living your life. Are the areas of your life balanced? And you're probably not going to be that happy if your life is unbalanced. We're pretty simple creatures. I think we like to think we're so complicated, but I think at our simplest, we need love, we need energy, which comes from like a healthy lifestyle and sometimes factors we can't control. We need like time with fresh air and in the sunlight. I know that I start to wilt if I don't get any time outdoors, if I'm just like locked inside all the time. Things like that. Like it's pretty, our like checklist of, and of course having like meaningful relationships and a good work-life balance. All of those things are simple. And I think we are really kind of that simple. So all of this to say that when I sit down for a quarterly planning session, I set goals. I try to set like a good, usually about 5 goals, but like about 3 of them, like 2 to 3 of them are really important to me. They're really going to push the needle forward in some capacity, whether it be like a business goal or like whatever else. But kind of like 3 to 5 is where I like to sit, with a couple like supplementary goals in there in a few different areas of my life. So I don't want to say all this and make it think like the achieving of things is not important. It is important. Being able to set goals and achieve them on a continual basis is huge for building your sense of confidence, and it helps you value yourself more, and it gives you like the sense of pride, like, wow, I like planned to do something and I actually did it. That's a great thing to do. And it's not gonna, like, if you're just I don't know, sitting on the couch all day long or whatever, you're not like doing anything, or if you're not like pursuing anything, even if they're just personal or social goals or things like that, like setting goals is an important part of having like a healthy whole life. But achieving things does not bring happiness. Does that kind of make sense? That's hopefully it does. Those are some like life lessons that I've kind of come across. So back to the quarterly planning process. I spent a couple weeks daydreaming of 5 to 10 year from now Allysia, and I focus on like who she is as a person. I focus on how her life is balanced. And like I said, those are the first things that I really consider, because those are the things that actually I can meaningfully impact right now. But after that, I also like to look at what's she doing. How is she spending her time? What is she doing for work? What is she doing for fun? And from there, that's where I start to find some ideas of goals. So if 5 years from now, Allysia is teaching piano lessons online, but she's also released like, I don't know, a dozen courses or something for beginners up to intermediate students, then like if I look at that and I say like, okay, I can turn that into something. I can teach lessons now. That's something I can do immediately. I am teaching private lessons right now. But if I also see that I have this like backlog of courses that piano students can take, then I start to think, well, when do I want to do those courses? If I see them 5 years from now, when am I releasing them? Am I releasing one next year? Am I releasing 4 next year? Like what's kind of the idea there? And then I take that idea and I try to crystallize it. I see, do I need to move the needle forward on this idea in this quarter right now? Do I have time for it? Do I have the capacity for it? So in terms of creating courses for my piano TV channel, the answer for me this quarter is no. I don't have time to work on that, and I'm not going to be able to prioritize it because my other goals are totally all-encompassing. One of them has to do with I'm doing like some coaching right now. It's basically like piano lessons, but done through correspondence as opposed to scheduled. So that's taking the vast majority of my professional energy right now. In the new year though, I think I'll have the capacity to start thinking about how I'm going to build courses. So I'm going to come back to that one, but just not this quarter. But the main thing that's taking up most of my time and energy this quarter is the goal of buying a new house. So that's obviously a really big one. It's one that has been on our radar for like the last 6 months or so, but this is the quarter that we're going to actually take some significant steps towards making that happen. That's going to be like the primary goal. So when I'm making quarterly goals, I like to think, if I do nothing else and I just do one goal and that's it, what is the most important one? And this would be the most important one. And all of the goals, regardless of how important I think they are totally supplementary to this one goal of moving. All of this too takes me quite a while. Like I usually spend a good few weeks every quarter. So like at the beginning of fall, at the beginning of winter, and so on. Not only in like the kind of daydreaming phase, but I'll also do some active brainstorming where I'm doing a lot of writing. I write about what I view for the future. I'll go through some specific and targeted questions. I use Steve Pavlina's writings on quarterly planning. You can find them online as kind of a template. I do a review of what I achieved in the last quarter, if I'm happy with that. And all of this takes a super long time. Okay, so my first goal, decide where we'd like to move. That's obviously the most important part. And then once we do that, buy a new home, which also involves selling ours. And there are a lot of, there's like a million tasks within that. So I've started a to-do list in Noseby, which I've talked about on this channel before. And yeah, my husband and I have a lot of work on that front. Another goal is to continue working on the course and coaching program that I've started, but I'm also going to do like another relaunch. I'm aiming for January because it's about a 6-month program, and if I put it later than January, the timing is just kind of awkward. Like most people, when they're thinking of like piano lessons and stuff, like to leave the summer open. So going from January to June is a good timeline. So if I let maybe like another 20 people in, that's kind of the timeline I'm thinking. So that was pretty easy though, because, well, it's not easy, but I've already done a launch of it, so I don't have to establish any new groundwork. I kind of just do what I've already done. Another goal is to write 2 songs with my band and learn how to play 3 songs. And we've already picked the 3 songs, I think, if my band is watching, and these 3 songs are not what you agree with, I apologize. But we've picked Lateralis by Tool, which is a good stretch piece. That one's very difficult. There's lots of timing changes. I really want to do Killing in the Name of by Rage Against the Machine, because it's totally outside my comfort zone and I think it'd be really fun. And Captivate You by the Marmozets is, the Marmozets are just like my new favorite band. I really like them. So I want to learn how to play those 3 songs, but I also want to write a couple songs with them. And whether that involves writing music in the basement, just the 4 of us jamming, or whether that involves me writing a song on the piano and then bringing it to the band that we then write together, either way is fine with me. But by the end of December, I'd love if we could have written a couple songs, because it'd be really nice in a future quarter so when I'm thinking about like my 5-year from now vision, I'm playing shows, I'm performing, I'm like getting out there, I'm musically involved. It's like one of my favorite creative projects. So I take that idea and I think, well, how can I make meaningful progress towards that this quarter? And that's how I'm going to do it. And then I have a classical piano. You can't see what I'm pointing at. I'm pointing at my piano. To practice Amy Beach's Barcarolle, and then Prelude and Fugue by Bach, and then a Beethoven sonata this quarter. So it's basically like three pieces. 2 of them are very large. Like a Beethoven sonata is quite large. I want to get them to a satisfactory level, which to me is about 90% competency with a piano teacher. So my goal there is, again, like in the future, I see myself with a large classical piano repertoire, and like this repertoire is good for my own personal enjoyment, but I can also have like impromptu performances and stuff like that. So what I thought, like, what could I do now in the next 3 months to move towards that goal? And it's learn 3 pieces that I've already kind of been working on. So I'm not starting from scratch, but if I finish the Barcarolle and Prelude and Fugue in October, then that leaves me November and December, 2 full months to work on this Beethoven sonata, which might even still be a bit of a stretch, but I'm going with it. We're going to give it a try. And then this is my cutest goal. This is the last one, and the smallest one, but I think it's still meaningful, is I want to learn the tune, actions and movements, and piano parts to a dozen children's songs to play with Jane. I don't have like a lot of early childhood education experience, and as such, I don't know like all these cutesy kids songs. I know Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff, but I don't know all these cute movements. Like, I started singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider to Jane, and she started doing this with her fingers. And I was like, what are you doing? And then Michael's like, oh, it's the Itsy Bitsy Spider. And he like did the whole dance. And it's like, I don't know what I've been doing with my life, but I don't know these like cute actions and movements to kids songs. So I thought it would be fun so I picked a dozen because that's about 1 per week, excluding the holidays a little bit. So if I learn like 1 kid song a week, then Jane and I can do that together, and it's just fun and cute. And then by the end of the quarter, I'll have this like nice repertoire of kid songs that we can sing and play together. And I want to bond with Jane over music, so that's just yeah, it's my cute goal. I think it's fun. So there's a lot more I could say on all of this. I think I'll leave this video where it is now, and we can talk more like specifics about quarterly planning in the future. But I just wanted to give you kind of like a general sense of how it works. And as far as why it's important, I guess I should touch on this too. If you don't set goals, this is going to seem like an obvious statement, but if you don't set goals, you're probably not going to accomplish much of what you want to accomplish. And your dreams of who you are 5 to 10 years from now, what you're doing, might not come to fruition. Or maybe they will. You'll like casually work your way towards them. But without like, I find the 90-day plan really kind of helps me imagine what progress towards that goal will look like. If I don't set, so if I want to eventually have like a vast classical piano repertoire, I don't need to set a goal to learn 3 pieces in a quarter. I don't. Like, I can just kind of keep casually practicing piano the way I practice. But having the learn 3 pieces as a goal for the next 90 days, it just helps me imagine the path there. So if I might learn at a faster and more effective rate, and I'll have the feeling that I'm making meaningful progress towards my goals. Where if I just kind of casually practice piano and just like without setting goals, I'll probably still make progress. I'll probably still put some pieces on my repertoire, but I won't necessarily have a sense of where I'm going. I won't have the feeling of there being a light on my path. I'm just kind of fumbling my way in the dark, and I'll probably get there eventually, but the process is not maybe going to be as pleasant. So that's, I think, the why of setting goals. But yeah, this is probably already a long video, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for watching, and looking forward to sitting down and chatting with you guys in the future. Take care.